The cameras were rolling, lights blazing against a global stage that millions across continents had tuned into. On one side sat Bishop T.D. Jakes, the world-renowned pastor whose sermons had echoed across churches, stadiums, and television networks for decades. His words had moved presidents, comforted the broken, and uplifted entire generations. On the other side of the table sat a man far younger, but whose presence carried the gravity of history in motion. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary, president of Burkina Faso. A man described by some as a rising African hero, and by others as a dangerous radical. But no matter the perspective, his voice had shaken the pillars of global narratives on Africa, independence, and faith. What was about to unfold was a conversation many thought would never happen. A prominent American preacher sitting face to face with one of Africa's boldest, most defiant leaders. And in that moment, the air in the room felt charged, as though something far greater than politics or religion was about to break through. Bishop Jakes leaned forward, his tone soft yet firm, his voice resonating with curiosity and authority. "President Traoré," he began, "I've followed your words about Africa's future, about breaking chains, about independence, about dignity. But today, I want to go beyond politics. I want to ask you something that touches the very soul. What does Christianity mean to your people? How do you, as a leader, view faith in Burkina Faso?" The silence that followed was profound. Cameras zoomed in as Traoré adjusted his microphone, lifted his gaze, and locked eyes not just with Bishop Jakes, but with the millions watching around the world. His voice, calm yet unshakable, began to carry words that would set social media on fire within minutes. "Bishop Jakes," he said, "Christianity is not foreign to Africa. Long before missionaries arrived, long before colonial powers used religion as a weapon, Africa already knew the Creator. We prayed, we fasted, we sought guidance, we honored the Almighty. But what was brought to us later, through chains and conquest, was not faith. It was control." The room stiffened, the audience holding its breath. Traoré pressed forward, each word deliberate and cutting. The Christianity that was forced upon Africa was not always the Christianity of Christ, but the Christianity of conquest. It came with the Bible in one hand and the whip in the other. They told us to look to heaven while they looted our land. They told us to obey while they stripped us of our dignity. They preached salvation while enslaving our people. But Jesus was not a colonizer. Jesus was not an oppressor. Jesus was a liberator. He stood with the poor, the rejected, the forgotten, and that is the Christianity Africa must reclaim. Gasps echoed across the hall. Some nodded fiercely in agreement. Others shifted uncomfortably. Bishop Jakes leaned back, his eyes fixed on the young president, measuring the weight of every syllable. "So are you saying, Mr. President," Jakes asked carefully, "that the Christianity the world has known is false?" Traoré leaned in, his eyes burning with conviction. "I am saying that Christianity without justice is incomplete. A Christianity that preaches salvation but ignores oppression is not the Christianity of Jesus. A Christianity that tells the slave to obey, but never demands the master to repent, is not the faith of Christ. And this, Bishop, is why Africa must rise, not only politically, but spiritually. We must break the chains not just from our lands, but from our minds." Applause thundered from the audience, and online hashtags began flooding every platform. Hashtag TRA or eAcute speaks. Hashtag Christianity reclaimed hashtag truth and faith. But Traoré was not finished. His voice grew firmer, his tone now carrying the force of history itself. In the Bible, when God freed the children of Israel from Pharaoh, it was not just a story of the past. It was a prophecy for every oppressed people. Africans do not need to wait for another Moses. We must become our own Moses. Faith without action is empty. Prayer without justice is powerless. If we truly believe in God, then we must stand against every pharaoh of our time, whether it wears a crown, a suit, or hides behind systems of exploitation. Bishop Jakes sat still, the weight of the message pressing upon him. He had preached liberation for decades, but hearing it thunder from a head of state carried a different power. Then, with fire in his voice, Traore delivered a challenge that shook the Christian world. Bishop, if your preaching does not liberate the African child from hunger, if your church does not fight for the farmer whose land is stolen, if your faith does not protect the mother who dies in childbirth because hospitals lack resources, then your Christianity is entertainment. And Africa has no more time for entertainment. We need truth. We need power. We need freedom. The room erupted again, some clapping, others stunned into silence. Bishop Jakes, his voice lower now, asked quietly, "Then what, Mr. President? Is Christianity to you?" "Christianity," Traore declared, his tone unwavering, "is not about cathedrals. It is not about titles. It is not about preachers living in wealth while their people starve. Christianity is about love, courage, justice, and truth. If it is not about these things, then it is not the Christianity of Christ." His words hung in the air like thunder. Viewers around the world, from New York to Lagos, from London to Ouagadougou, felt the shockwave. Pastors prepared sermons. In response, critics prepared their rebuttals, but no one could deny the fire that had just been unleashed. And still, Traore pressed further. He spoke of churches that were full on Sundays, but empty in love on Mondays. He spoke of shopkeepers who sang in choirs yet cheated customers, of farmers who prayed at the altar yet exploited laborers in the field. If our faith does not transform our society, he said firmly, then it is not faith, it is religion. And religion without transformation has never saved anyone. He reminded the bishop of the words of Jesus in Matthew 25, that true faith was measured not by songs or offerings, but by feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and caring for the stranger. My fear, Traore said solemnly, is that many churches today are filled with noise but empty of Christ. If Jesus walked into our churches today, would he recognize his own message? Or would he overturn our offering baskets the way he overturned the tables in the temple? At that moment, the bishop's eyes filled with tears. He had counseled presidents and kings, yet here sat a leader half his age, speaking not with arrogance, but with the conviction of a prophet. Bishop Jakes whispered, his voice breaking, "Mr. President, you have shaken me. You have reminded me why I first preached the gospel, not for fame, not for applause, but because Christ saved me. And you are right. Somewhere along the way, we have lost something." Traore nodded, his tone gentler now, but still resolute. "Then let us regain it. Let us remind the world that the cross was not made of gold, but of rough wood, stained with blood. That Christianity is not about entertainment, but about sacrifice. If Africa reclaims that truth, if the world reclaims that truth, then we will see revival, not of noise and lights, but of love, justice, and freedom."